available. Unknown.
Hi everybody, it's Sam. So this really annoying, frustrating thing happened. I just sat here for like 20 minutes, half hour, and recorded a whole long video about my day, and I didn't know the battery had run down, and so it didn't even save. So I'm gonna do a more concise video, so we can get this done, because I have to like write in my journal and maybe chillax for a minute. I haven't even checked my email, like really gone through it. So, highlights of today, pretty important. I am, I hate the word quitting, but I am. I'm quitting program. I am not going there anymore. It is just not for me. I got in today and I was kind of like, had this realization of like, ding ding, I don't have to go to this place. Like, just thinking about all these people that like don't seem to want to be there are being made to come, from their nursing homes. They're half asleep on medications and they're still made to come. Or if I was half asleep on a medication, I would be staying home. But these people are made to go there, and this place is like enforcing the law that they keep going. And it's like, well, I don't have to really deal with that. So I was like, this program is like not for me. Like I said, the group environment, it's just hard to really connect with these therapists that you're not like doing individual work with or having any like outside contact with besides in the group, because you're sort of like made to bring up stuff that it's like at the mercy of like whatever topic they bring up, and it could be something that you really don't want to talk about, and even just like sitting in the room listening to it could be like really hard. Like last week when we were talking about, this guy was talking about like his childhood and stuff, and like physical abuse, and it brought up thoughts about like what I've been through and like comparing it to what he went through, and just a lot of feelings. But I didn't want to talk about it, but like sitting in the room was really hard too. So I was sitting there and I was just thinking about it. I was like, I don't need to be here. And like, I don't know, we did the first group and it was like a check-in, and just hearing about other people's issues that are like made me more depressed. Like it's just really depressing hearing about other people's problems like that are worse than mine, and it's just draining. It's like, I want to help and support people, but like, this one woman as an example, last week she was totally depressed. She'd been going through so much since I met her in the beginning of the month, and it's been really up and down, and last week she was so depressed I thought she was going to be hospitalized, but she came bouncing in today and was fine, and did admit that she'd finally told her husband, who's this like terrible alcoholic, that she was going to leave him, and now she's going to find a new apartment and everything else like that, and that was like a really good thing for her. But it's like, wow, she basically doesn't even have a home, and she has all this physical health issues and different things like that. And it's just like, wow, it's just draining in a way, like when you're there to like work on your own issues, and you have to hear about everyone else's issues that aren't like your friends, and it's just a lot. And so, yeah, the therapist thing, sort of like what I've been through the past 4 weeks with like 1 week I fought the cognitive therapy to death, and now I realize like I didn't have to put myself through that, the people were on top of me when I missed those 2 days the first week, I think just seeing the people so, like a huge amount of them, just so zoned out on heavy duty meds, and like being made to go there was really hard, because I don't think that's really fair. But so I was just like, and it just is, even though I've only done it for a month, like it's draining to have to go 3 days a week, get out the door by 8 o'clock, and do 3 45-minute groups there's a 15-minute break between the first two, and then a lunch break. But still, and just be in these rooms, they're kind of small, with the door closed, and I guess I sit by the door a lot, so it just feels really like closed in. And so yeah, it just became too much. But I was calm about it, and it was just something that I kind of decided, like once I got in this morning, it just kind of came to me, like it was like, wow, I don't have to do this anymore. Dang. And so I told them, and they were like, well, we like have you like finish out the day and see how you feel. And I was like, no, I really don't want to do that. So I sat in this little lobby area where there's chairs and stuff, and I just listened to the refrigerator hum and sat. I didn't want to be doing reading or anything, because I felt like they'd be like, oh, if you can sit and read, then like you can be in group. And I was pretty depressed and pretty just like low energy and just like, wow, because I made that decision, but it's like, God, I have to sit here for the rest of the day. So I sat and I practiced my signs, like secretly in my lap. I'm like, I want strawberry ice cream, and I'm waiting for like somebody to notice, but I was really discreet about it. Plus, like, people that don't know sign language probably would have no idea what I was doing. So anyway, I had lunch, which was good because I was wicked weak, and I had 2 pieces of pound cake, which was good because I was really hungry. So then, after lunch, they had a third group, and I didn't go, so I just sat there for 40 minutes. And, and I talked to Sarah, which is the therapist that I do trust, like, the most out of the 4 of them. And she was like, well, you seem really low, and, like, we usually wait it out a few days and then see, how you feel. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, it was to the point where I was like, I can't imagine, like, dragging myself through to it. And I don't know if that's a sign of, like, depression getting worse, because, like, often I'll be like, if I'm starting to get depressed, I'm like, I can't even imagine, like, getting up and, like, going anywhere. But, I don't know, I can't imagine myself, like, going for a few more weeks. But, so I was just like, no. So I did the last group, and then I went home, and, I called Kinsey so that, like, she wouldn't be totally shocked. I left a message and told her. And, like, I talked to Edith, and Edith was like, oh, we'll talk about this when we get home. Because Sarah, of course, had already called them, and probably Jonathan, too. And I left a message for Jonathan saying, well, I wasn't going to do it anymore. So I got home, and ended up talking to Edith for, like, a half hour. It was really intense. She was, like, arguing with me away about why she doesn't support me, staying, leaving the program, and she's afraid that it's going to make me more depressed, that I'm not going to accomplish my goals if I'm not in the program, and that it's not going to help me move forward. And I have under this impression that, like, she wants me to move forward so that I move out, and, like, that's not really her call. As long as you're working on goals, and even if it's, like, in here, it doesn't have to be a program, you can stay as long as you want. So it was a really intense, like, argument. And at one point, I felt like she was making me feel guilty and being like, well, we worked really hard to get you in there. I'm like, yeah, I know you did. And it wasn't like the therapist. It just wasn't for me. And I'm not sure if program is for me, because I've tried a couple of different ones and have had, like, really mixed success. And, but I got more out of, like, Turning Point in a way than I did out of this one. I mean, at least I went there for, like, more months. And, like, there were groups that I liked better than others at certain points, and in the end, we really butted heads about, like, the self-injury stuff and them not having any idea on it, and just way groups were conducted. But I liked a good amount. Like, I liked maybe, like, I don't know, I'm so bad at percents, like, maybe a little below 50% of, like, what we did, and I got stuff out of it. Like, the DBT group was good and stuff. This is, like, I was telling her, I'm like, in all the 4 weeks, like, I didn't really get anything out of it. Like, I did the worksheets and stuff, but I didn't really, like, learn anything new. I didn't really, like, connect with anybody. Well, I did connect with this one girl, and then, like, I wanted nothing to do with her after she looked over my shoulder and started to be nosy and just was, like, this totally different person. So, like, I didn't really get much out of it. And, they kind of lied, because they said there was going to be more creative arts therapy. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to do music therapy, art therapy, dance therapy. We did 2 art things in the 4 weeks I was there. We did no music therapy and no dance therapy. We did a chair exercise thing. Anyway, so I think if they had more of that stuff, it might have, like, piqued my interest, but, like, this day after day, listening to people's problems and being drained by it, and just the setup physically and just everything about it, I just couldn't handle. So I argued with her, and she went on, and finally she was like, yeah, I can't convince you anymore today. It's like, no, you can't, and you can't any day. So what's left for me now is trying to figure out a volunteer opportunity, because I said, they kind of encourage, if you're not going to a program, then, like, try to volunteer or do something. So I want to try to do something, because I want them to be convinced that I'm not going to just sit around all day and have, like, no goals. So I want to do something, like, maybe in, like, human services, like, working with people with disabilities somehow, or I don't know, maybe kids. I've never worked with kids, so maybe not. I like animals, but the last time my caseworker tried to get me to go to an animal shelter, was recommended by a hospital social worker to just hang out with the cats, and like every animal shelter said no because of me being blind, and they didn't want me to be feeding the cats or do anything with them, and they couldn't seem to accommodate me just sitting and petting the cats. So that was just like completely no. Eventually we found one place that was able to help me sit and like just play with the cats for an hour once a month, which was really good. But I don't know. I mean, the other huge issue is tickets. Paratransit tickets is $30 a book, and so that would be 5 rides. So if I did something once a week, it would be a month and 1 week of transportation, and then I have to get more tickets, and so I just don't know how I could maintain that. Jonathan did talk at one point about helping fund that, but that was like a couple months ago, and before we could talk about that, I got into the program. So I'm gonna it's hard. It's really hard. I want to get you guys input on what accessible volunteer opportunities for people with disabilities in this area. I'd really like to know your thoughts. So I read a couple good books, but I'm gonna talk about that in another video, maybe tomorrow because I'm getting tired. But I will talk to you guys later, and hopefully I'll keep you guys updated on volunteering and thoughts and reactions from the staff and what people end up doing. I mean, not that they're going to do anything. That's the other thing. Edith was trying to turn it into like a safety issue, and it's not. She was like, well, if you're left to your own devices, I don't know what's going to happen. I was like, well, I'll tell you what's not going to happen. I'm not going to hurt myself. Like, I'm not suicidal. So I don't know. But we'll see. I mean, I think they're surprised because they did work really hard, and like it's nothing against anybody. It's just I just don't fit in. I don't think in that environment. I don't think it's because like the other people are low functioning so much as the group like aspect of like just not knowing what's going to go on, and not having a control over like what we talk about, and having to share so much stuff with like people you don't really know much about. And including like the therapist, like you don't have that trusting relationship foundation like you would individually. So that's about it, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And for now, I'm just going to chillax and check my emails and try and decompress. So have a good night, everybody. Bye.
I will help web stop.